Second day of competition at the Mayhem Classic coming to a close as one event remains for the men and the women. We are through 4 total events. Event 5 is up next. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez, and Rory McKernan is down on the competition floor as we get set for just a whole bunch of grunt work in Event 5.
Yeah, pretty simple as far as the layout goes. You know, not really complicated compared to the massive chipper that we had last year, but this is one of those workouts where you just kind of got to put your head down and work. 150 feet walking lunge and 50-foot segments, 30 sandbag cleans, 150-foot lunge. Real simple, real straightforward. It's going to be relatively fast, too.
We just saw the good dudes take on that event, and Rich Froning was able to complete it in 7 minutes, 22.94 seconds. Lane assignments for this first of 4 heats here. Kyle Bernier has been pretty impressive so far in this competition, and he comes into this event in 6th place overall.
Yeah, so far he's been managed to hang around. You know, being in the top 10 at this point kind of keeps you within earshot of one of those games invites that everyone's shooting after. I mean, 2 4th-place finishes yesterday. Hasn't had the best day, but at least he improved upon his 22nd place finish to start the day with an 11th in event number 4. You know, another strong event, maybe a top 5 here, puts him back in that conversation.
And Kyle Bernier does have a lot of work to do, though, as far as getting himself into contention for that invite to the CrossFit Games. He currently sits in 6th place overall with 251 points, but Josh Miller is your overall leader with 320, so a lot of ground to make up. Colton Mertens, guy with some games experience, he was with CrossFit Kilo on a team. He looked really good in that last event, put on a late charge in heat number 2 in order to set one of the top times.
And he's slowly getting better. 25th, 17th, 14th, 10th. Each event, he's starting to build a little momentum, and maybe he can, you know, have his best finish of the weekend here if he manages to crack the top 10.
And Mertens, another guy who's looking to earn an invite in lane 1. That's Mitch Spute, one of the bigger athletes here. Look for him on that sandbag. First of 4 heats underway, and we start with that 150-foot walking lunge, 75-pound dumbbells in each hand. They'll receive a rep for every 10 feet they complete. So 15 total reps on this lunge.
And already we're seeing kind of a mixed bag as far as how these athletes choose to hold on to these dumbbells. Some athletes just place them square on the shoulders, holding the heads of the dumbbells. Some athletes put them on the shoulders, but keeping their hand on the actual handle. Other athletes, like we saw Rich, Scott, and Josh actually do, kind of tilt them up on their ends and then use the handles kind of leaning in towards your head to kind of prop each other up.
So it's Kyle Bernier, Brendan Willis in the lead, along with Cam Crockett. Willis on the far side of the floor, left side of your screen, is done with a second length. 100 feet down, 50 feet remain. He'll make the turn first. Willis far into the floor is your leader here on this initial 150-foot lunge. And now Willis is going to take a break. Cam Crockett is in the middle of the floor, and he has now overtaken Willis for the lead. Bernier, bottom of your screen, in 2nd place.
Interesting to see. We've seen a couple athletes, Mertens and Willis, set the dumbbells down. I just don't think there's enough time relative to the cap based on what we saw from the good dudes to be able to take breaks like that in this workout, especially how quick it is.
Bernier will be first to work on the 150-pound sandbag, 30 reps here. So at the 45 rep mark, that is when they will go back to their final lunge. But Cam Crockett, bottom left of your screen, he's starting his sandbag cleans. Crockett has already qualified for the CrossFit Games. He finished 17th in the World Wide Open. He's out of CrossFit Kilter in Akron, Ohio. Crockett, Spencer, Bernier, and Bolin all on the lead pace here. As Crockett knocks out another rep. He's 6 reps in. They'll advance the bag every 10 reps. 8-minute time cap here. Rich Froning's time for the good dude, 7:22.94 as Bernier is done with his first 10. So Bernier looks to be the only man on his second set of 10 repetitions. Austin Spencer at the far end of the floor just completed his first 10. Now he will join Bernier.
You can kind of see Bernier in the front of your screen here. By virtue of really getting his hips into it, the bag flies a little bit farther than some of the other athletes. I mean, that's a little bit of a transition for him to have to go get that bag. It really kind of depends on the athlete, though. He may be actually wanting to do that to give himself a natural little break built in by the distance he has to walk, because he's still been able to maintain a good pace. Whereas we saw earlier, Rich would actually take a second to choke it up onto his shoulder, let it fall right behind him, turn around and keep going.
Austin Spencer, he's in the headband at the far end of the floor. He is pushing Bernier for the lead here. So Bernier and Spencer on the back half now of this set of 30. Again, advancing every I want to correct what I said about Cam Crockett. He does not have a spot in the Open. It was Scott Tetlow who finished 17th. Mistakenly said that Cam Crockett does. He has yet to qualify as well. Spencer and Bernier continue to lead here. 45, that's the number they got to hit on their scoreboard before they get back to the final 150-foot walking lunge. We have 3 minutes to go before we hit the 8-minute time cap. Colton Mertens is also on his final set of 10. And Spencer just has 4 to go, so he has moved close to Bernier, although he is now ahead of him is Austin Spencer. So Bernier is done as he regains the lead from Spencer, and he is off on his final 150-foot lunge. Now remember, there's a final sprint to the finish here, but Bernier is out front early as Spencer, he's on the right side of your screen. Upper right-hand corner is getting set to lift the dumbbells and start his 150-foot journey.
And it's going to be close for Bernier. He might be the only athlete to finish in this heat. He had about 2:20 left on the clock. That gives you just about 45, 50 seconds per round.
Bernier is done with his first 50 feet, 100 feet remain. Again, 1 rep for every 10 feet, 60 total scored reps in this event. Final event of the day, 2 events remain tomorrow.
And I know it's hard to tell because he's in the first heat to see what everything else is coming behind him, but just based off what we saw from the good dudes, actually a demo being a viable kind of litmus test here, that break that he took right there after that first 50 feet, I just don't think you're going to have time for it. You know, he may prove me wrong on this last and blast this last little lunge step, but for someone that's on the verge of being in the spot for the invite, he's really got to make a push here.
Bernier, with less than a minute to go, has 50 feet and then a run across the finish line, and he's going to break again. Bernier came in 6th place overall, 251 total points, 69 points back of overall leader Josh Miller. Miller also the man who would currently get the invite to the CrossFit Games. 30 seconds before we hit the time cap. So Bernier may have a chance. All the athletes are on their final 150-foot walking lunges, but Bernier's the only guy who looks like he's going to finish the event. He's got 10 seconds to get back across the floor. Final sprint for Bernier. And he is in 7:54.66 seconds. With just one man finishes this event inside that 8-minute time cap, and it is that man, Kyle Bernier, who apparently knew what he was doing with those rests.
Yeah, but even then, he's still competing against the guys coming in these later heats. You know, Bernier really took control during the sandbag portion of this workout. Even with the little bit of extra distance he had to walk, he kind of had some built-in rest. Took a break on the first set of lunge. I thought it wasn't going to allow him to get under the cap, but you know, he did. A nice sprint to the finish, and he's the only one to get underneath the cap in a heat one.
And Kyle Bernier is with Rory McKernan.
Kyle, you had to use every little bit of that time cap. Walk me through the emotions of that last 50 feet of walking lunges.
Yeah, that was a very mentally demanding workout. The first set down, felt super tired, caught a little bit of a second wind, and just decided to go with it and sell out for it last one of the day, you know. So it's good.
So this was the last one of the day. One day remains. What's your assessment of your performance so far?
You know, I don't really like to assess performance as much as I do effort, and I feel like I've given a really good effort and executed really well, and those are my goals coming into the weekend.
Good for you. Strong effort got you a heat win, so congratulations. Great way to end the day.
Appreciate it.
Good job.
Thanks, Rich.
Kyle Bernier, the only man in that heat to finish the event inside the 8-minute time cap. Official score of 7 minutes, 54.66 seconds.
Strong finish from him. It should definitely help seeing how difficult all the other athletes, the difficulty that they had with the sandbag and getting in the time cap. Still, he's going to have his eyes squarely on this next heat because the man he's chasing is up next.
Here's another look at the event. Very simple. 2 lunges and some sandbag cleans. What'd you learn from that first heat?
Well, I guess we learned that you can take a break on this lunge and still manage to finish. It really just depends on the pacing that you keep on those sandbag cleans. You know, Bernier had a little bit more of a throw with the bag. That little break in there worked out really well for him. So I think that you might see some athletes take that, you know, and run with it in the later heats.
Lane assignments for heat number 2, and your overall leader is Josh Miller, and he'll be working out a lane at number 7.
Yeah, he's the man that Bernier is chasing right now. Josh Miller in the driver's seat as far as game qualification goes. You know, last year he was the last guy in as far as sanctionals goes by winning the French Throwdown in June. It'd be really nice for him to have a little, basically a 5-month advantage on what he had to prepare for the games last year.
Josh Miller with 320 total points, first place overall coming into this event, and right now he would be the man who would get the invite from this event to the CrossFit Games. Chandler Smith currently sits in second. He has a qualifying spot. Luke Schaefer is the closest man to Miller without an invite. Schaefer with 298 points, so just 22 points back of Josh Miller. So Miller has some work to do here. Brandon Swan and Josh Miller are out front early, as Miller is the first man to make the turn. Swan right behind him. Miller's on the right.
And I think Swan and maybe Tolamor Aquino can kind of play the role of spoiler here. Although both of them are outside of the top 10. You know, Tola obviously already has an invite potentially waiting him from Dubai. They could do really well in here and be one of those athletes that kind of drives Josh Miller down if he doesn't have a strong performance here.
100 feet down now for Miller and Dylan Martin. Dylan Martin out front now. He's on the left of your screen. Both he, Miller, and Swan even choosing to rest those dumbbells on their shoulders. .60 total scored repetitions in this event. 15 total for the first lunge, 15 for the second, and then 30 of those sandbag cleans at 150 pounds. Martin is done first. Josh Miller behind him, and here comes Brandon Swan. Brandon Swan comes in 14th place overall. He's on the far right of your screen. Best finish was in event 3. He took 2nd place. Swan with 191 points. So 129 points back of Josh Miller.
And Bernier in the earlier heat was done with his first set of 10 right around the 250 mark. That's kind of the checkpoint we're looking for here with this heat.
Bernier with a time to beat at 7 minutes, 54.66 seconds. And Dylan Martin is 8 reps in. As now is Brandon Swan and Josh Miller. And Dylan Martin, though, with a slight lead, he'll pick up his bag and advance it. He has one more clean. Now he has to advance it. He is 10 reps in. 20 to go for Dylan Martin. Brandon Swan and Josh Miller, the 2 other men on the screen there in 2nd and 3rd. Tolamora Aquino, meanwhile, is starting to creep up a little bit. He is on his 2nd set of 10. He is just to the left on screen of Dylan Martin. There's Moraquino.
I think Dylan Martin really looking for a bit of redemption in this workout to close the day. Both of the workouts today, he's finished outside of the top 20. Probably really hasn't had the day that he had hoped for. But you know what? In this short, quick workout, odd object, might be looking to finish the day strong.
Moraquino has now passed the halfway point on these 30 reps. And he's getting set to advance his sandbag to the final station where he'll complete his final set of 10. And Dylan Martin's done first. He has 10 remaining. So Martin still in the lead. Saxon Panchik, he's at the other end of the floor. He's getting set to move into his final set of 10 as well. But it's Dylan Martin in the lead with Brandon Swan, Tolamora Aquino, Nick Matthew, all trying to get into the top 3 in this heat. Saxon Panchik trying to close out his 2nd set of 10. 4.5 minutes gone by. 3.5 minutes remain before we hit the 8-minute time cap.
This heat just a little bit faster than the previous heat here with a handful of athletes, as of right now, slightly ahead of Kyle Bernier's pace.
The 3 reps remain for Dylan Martin. 5 reps remain for Brandon Swan. Remember, 45, that's the number they got to hit before they take off on that lunge. And Martin's just a couple away from that. Now 1 more rep remain for Dylan Martin. So Martin is finished, and he'll move back to the dumbbells. Less than 3 minutes to go.
You see him chalking up his shoulders there, especially as you start to sweat. If he's resting those dumbbells on there, the sweat will make him start to slide, just kind of taking out some of the moisture there to make sure that those dumbbells don't slide.
Dylan Martin is off on his final 150-foot lunge.
And he started the lunge about 10 seconds ahead of Kyle Bernier's pace. And remember, that includes Kyle Bernier taking a break here. So if Dylan Martin can hold on, keep this pace, maybe not put the dumbbells down, he's going to set the time to beat.
Brandon Swan and Tolamora Aquino have just picked up their dumbbells. Swan gets to work first, so he's now in 2nd place, and Moraquino is in 3rd. Swan is towards the top, Moraquino's on the bottom. Dylan Martin, meanwhile, has made the turn for his 2nd 50-foot trip down the floor. Here comes Martin. He's trying to track down Kyle Bernier's time of 7:54.66 seconds. Martin, a former regionals athlete, competed in regionals 3 times. Best finish was when he took 12th in the Central Regional back in 2017.
He's also an athlete that's helped out Dave Castro, at least as far as games prep's concerned. He's seen him out at the ranch in Aromas a few times as part of the demo team.
Martin on his final 50 feet. And if he keeps this pace, it's looking like he's going to set the new top mark. Less than a minute to go.
He might have bragging rights over Rich, too.
Rich Froning's time, 7:22.94 seconds. So Dylan Martin has unless he runs like me, he's going to be fine. So Martin is going to get in, and Dylan Martin, the new time to beat, 7 minutes, 21.01 seconds. Fantastic result for Dylan Martin. Tolamora Quino, he's going to make the turn. Meanwhile, Brandon Swan is on his final trip down the floor, so Swan doesn't look like he's going to make it. And now it's just about getting as many reps as you possibly can.
But good news for Kyle Bernier. Josh Miller towards the middle of this heat. Not going to finish.
So Miller, 5 reps shy. So he was on his final trip. I think he's trying to coax an extra rep out of his judge right now. Is Dylan Martin the only man in that heat to finish the event, and he beats Rich Froning by a second.
Yeah, pretty close race to start out, but Dylan Martin never put the dumbbells down, was the fastest man on the bag by far. Really kind of took control against some heavy hitters like Brandon Swan and Tolamora Quino. Didn't put him down in the final walking lunge. And you know, for an athlete who hasn't had a great day, a heat win is a good way to close out day number 2 here.
And Rory McKernan is standing by with your event leader, Dylan Martin.
So Dylan, you actually have beaten Rich Froning even, not just this heat by a second. How's that feel?
Pretty good. That's a first and a last probably, honestly. It was a lot of fun coming out here. First time to Mayhem, obviously, but all these workouts hurt. They suck, but they're awesome.
Yeah, and you've been involved, I hear, in some of the testing even for the games and things like that as a part of the demo team. How do you like the way that the programming has been stacked up over the course of the weekend?
I like it a lot. I'm not a big barbell guy. There hasn't been one yet, so I'm enjoying it. It's a good variety. Follow Rich's training a lot, and it's been enjoyable.
Well, congratulations on a fantastic performance and for saving my life when I almost tripped over a volunteer.
Dylan Martin leaves the floor with the top time we've seen so far. Only the second man to complete the event inside the 8-minute time cap, 7:21.01 seconds.
Impressive performance from Dylan. If I were him, that'd be the last workout you'd ever see me do, because you know what? I'm all about retiring on top.
That's exactly right. Like I said, you beat Rich Froning in anything fitness related. You're doing pretty well in my book. One more look at the event. This will be the third of 4 heats. 2 walking lunges with those 75-pound dumbbells and then 30 sandbag cleans, 150 pounds for the men, and then the dumbbells weigh 75 pounds each. Pretty aggressive time cap, too, at 8 minutes.
Real aggressive time cap. Only 2 athletes in total from the first 2 heats have finished underneath the time cap. So right now, just setting your sights squarely on getting underneath the time cap would guarantee you a strong finish for this event.
Lane assignments for heat number 3, and it's Luke Schaefer who'll be working out of lane number 1. He comes in 3rd place overall and has a real good chance of getting even closer to Josh Miller for that not only top spot on the leaderboard, but also the invite to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, he's 22 points back from Josh Miller in first overall, and really the door's been left open by Josh. We saw him finish towards the bottom of that heat, and right now Luke can take advantage of this. A strong performance here. This could not only just move him into the spot for the invite, but the overall lead, which is doubly important for an athlete that's trying to break through on the individual side.
Yeah, Luke Schaefer just 22 points back at Josh Miller for the lead and for the invite. (7:21.01 seconds). That's the time to beat as the men pick up the dumbbells for the first time here in this third of 4 heats. Final event of the day for the individuals. 2 more remain. Both of those will be tomorrow. And it is Luke Schaefer who is out to an early lead. He and Marquand Jones and Spencer Panchik, also Cole Grayshaber, they're all going to make the turn at about the same time here. Schaefer, Marquand Jones, Spencer Panchik, and Cole Grayshaber, your top 4. Marquand Jones, the only man deciding to go with the technique that we saw Dylan Martin use in the last heat.
Yeah, interesting enough because, you know, Rich and some of the other guys went with the bells turned up on their end, but you're seeing a lot of athletes have to fight that a little bit. Obviously, it's a smaller balance point when you turn the dumbbell up on its end. And the last thing when you're lunging 150 feet that you want to think about is these 2 heavy external objects wobbling around your shoulders and potentially falling off. It also just adds tension to the shoulders as well if you have to be more active in your grip and trying to maintain that front rack position for the dumbbells.
Cole Grayshaber also choosing to rest those on his shoulders. He's towards the back there, right side of your screen. As Spencer Panchik is through his 150-foot walking lunge, and he's the first man to the 150-pound sandbag. Marquand Jones right behind him, and Luke Schaefer as well. The number Luke Schaefer's trying to beat is Josh Miller's score, who was 5 reps shy, so 55 reps out of the 60 total scored reps in this event. That's what Josh Miller did. So if Luke Schaefer can beat that, he will inch closer to him, regardless of what anybody else does.
And even more realistically, I'm just kind of shooting for Kyle Bernier's time at this point.
Yeah, Bernier has the second best time right now with 7:54.66 seconds. Dylan Martin with the top time, 7:21.01. We just saw him do that in heat number 2. Drew Wayman, the Big Red Express, working through his sandbag cleans.
He's sitting in 5th right now. I mean, this is kind of a make or break workout for him. It's do or die time.
With 268 total points. So about 62 back of Josh Miller. Now Luke Schaefer is on the left of your screen, and he and Spencer Panchik and Marquand Jones are all fighting for first place in this heat. Cole Grayshaber and Ben Smith are in second. Ben Smith is towards the upper right-hand part of your screen. .45 reps, that's the magic number before they get back to the lunge. So Schaefer, Panchik, and Jones are all more than halfway through that set of 30. They advance every 10 reps.
And at this point, they're already behind Dylan Martin's pace that he set from the earlier heat, getting to that final set of 10 sandbag cleans. And given the fact that Dylan didn't put the dumbbells down, he marched right through that final 150 set. I don't think any of these athletes, at least at this point, are going to be able to catch him. So you're really kind of refocusing and setting your sights on second place.
And second place right now, as we mentioned, belongs to Kyle Bernier, 7:54.66. Schaefer with 7 reps to go. He's on the far left of your screen. Marquand Jones and Spencer Panchik are about 2 reps behind him. 5 to go for Schaefer. Then it's back to those 2 75-pound dumbbells. Again, Schaefer coming in third place overall, 298 points, 22 points back of Josh Miller for the overall lead and the invite to the CrossFit Games. And Josh Miller failed to finish this event. He was 5 reps shy.
And we're looking at about 2.5 minutes for that final dumbbell lunge set. So it's going to be close. 1 rep left, gets to the dumbbells, picks them up about 5:30. He's going to have to hustle.
Well, Schaefer is done. He's going to be the first man back to the 150-foot walking lunge. And Spencer Panchik just finished up as well. He's on the left. Marquand Jones has 1 rep remaining. Drew Wayman at the other end of the floor. He is also done. So Wayman and Panchik right now in second place as Wayman getting set to pick up his dumbbells.
We saw
on the bottom left.
We saw Schaefer kind of struggle to get that dumbbell on his left side up into position. That's the kind of the danger of that technique in particular. Once you get him up into a good position, then really all you're doing is pushing those dumbbells in together, because if your shoulders are high enough, your head's low enough, then those dumbbells are actually touching and propped up against each other. But you got to get it there first.
Luke Schaefer has his first 50 feet down, and he immediately makes the turn. Spencer Panchik and Drew Wayman are in second place, and Marquand Jones, as he just passes Luke Schaefer, is trying to get into the top 3 in this heat. 7:21.01 seconds. The time to beat belongs to Dylan Martin. Did that in the last heat. This is the 3rd of 4 total heats here in the 5th event of the competition. The Schaefer with just 50 feet left, and then a run across the finish line, and we have a minute to go. .721 doesn't look like it's going to happen for Luke Schaefer, but second place is out there for the taking.
And look at Panchik chasing him down in this final few steps. Really picked up his pace in that second set of 50 feet.
Drew Wayman, meanwhile, has moved up into 3rd place. He's getting set to close out his second set of 50, but we're going to get set for a close finish between Panchik and Schaefer. Panchik has the dumbbells down first. He's across the finish line. He's going to take second place right now in this event. Here comes Luke Schaefer. 7:54 is the time he's got to beat. He's in. He will now be in 3rd place in this event. So Spencer Panchik with a late charge to overtake Luke Schaefer. But Schaefer does himself a huge favor by finishing inside the time cap. Remember, Josh Miller, the man he is chasing, was 5 reps shy of completing the event.
Even though he might be kicking himself about giving up those points to Panchik, he still did himself a huge favor in finishing not just, under the time cap, but ahead of Kyle Bernier as well, who had the 2nd best time up until that point.
And Spencer Panchik came in 22nd place overall, 130 points, so not really a threat right now to Luke Schaefer, but Schaefer does leave some points out there.
Yeah, Schaefer, Marquand, Panchik were all towards the front of the pack throughout most of the heat. Even though Schaefer was the first to get to the dumbbells, we saw Spencer chase him down on that final length of 50 and beat him in a foot race to the finish, and he gets the heat win.
Down to Roy McKernan with Spencer Panchik.
Spencer, it sounds like it's taking a little bit of time to recover. You had a really late push there. What was going through your mind?
Just trying to stay smooth and then make my move on the last lunge. Just feel good and hold on.
Big brother Scott's now on the team, CrossFit Mayhem Freedom. How does it feel to be competing here in Cookeville?
Oh, it's amazing. Like the atmosphere, the people here, it's awesome.
Well, great job. I'll let you get back and recover, and that's the end of the 2nd day for you. Congrats.
Spencer Panchik at 7:41.54 seconds. 2nd place right now in the event, and Luke Schaefer staring at 90 points right now if he can stay in 3rd place in this event. But we do have 1 heat to go. Lane assignments for the 4th and final heat here of event 5. Only 6 athletes on the floor. And Chandler Smith, he's the guy who sits in 2nd place overall in the points. Already has a spot at the CrossFit Games, but he's just 2 points back of Josh Miller for the overall competition victory.
And this is a really good opportunity for him to seize the overall lead. Like you said, just a few points back. We saw Josh Miller struggle. He's coming off a strong finish, his best of the week in a 3rd place in event number 4. And for a guy who finished inside the top 20 at the games in his rookie season. A great way to kind of kickstart his improvement towards the games this year is to maybe walk away with an event win in the Sanctional here in Mayhem.
One more look at the event here in event number 5, just 2 movements. It's the walking lunge with the 75-pound dumbbells and then the 30 sandbag cleans at 150 pounds. And that 8-minute time cap has certainly come into play in the prior 3 heats.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of heats come down to that final lunge. Not just, you do all the work ahead of time, but the final few steps, maintaining pace, could be key in getting a top finish here.
The final heat is underway, and Chandler Smith tripped over his sandbag on his way to get the dumbbells to start his 150-foot walking lunge. Smith also struggled a little bit with his dumbbells, and he's got things situated, and he is towards the back here on this initial 150-foot walking lunge. 3 trips down the floor. They'll get 1 rep for every 10 feet they complete. Tyler Christoffel making the turn. He's out front. And then it's Adler, Carone, and Tetlow behind him, and now Chandler Smith is starting to make up some ground.
Yeah, even though he almost took a digger out the gate over his sandbag and struggled to actually get the dumbbells. Look how far back they are on his shoulders. That's actually requiring him to actually maintain some tension through the front rack, through the arms, just to keep those propped up. Because if he let go right now, they would fall off. Versus some of the other athletes that allow them to kind of sit squarely over the center of your center of your mass, to where basically all you're really doing is just bearing the load with the largest part of your body and not having to hold it up with your hands and shoulders.
Jeffrey Adler and Tyler Christoffel are neck and neck here on this final 50 feet, and the 2 of them will then get to work on the 150-pound sandbag, 30 total reps on that. Christoffel and Adler are done. Meanwhile, Chandler Smith has moved up into 3rd. Smith is done. Alexander Carone is finished as well. "30 reps here at 150 pounds, advancing the bag every 10. 60 total scored repetitions here. Time to beat still belongs to Dylan Martin, 7:21.01 seconds. Jeffrey Adler and Tyler Christoffel trying to hold off Alexander Carone, who's creeping up, as is Chandler Smith. So everybody's still on basically the same pace here. No one has fallen way back. Jeffrey Adler is through 10, and he will start his 2nd set of 10. He is now on the bottom left of your screen. Tyler Christoffel is next to him. He's in 2nd. Alexander Carone is on the far right side. And Scott Tetlow next to him. All these athletes separated by a rep or 2 right now.
It's good to see Adler out in front a little bit. He's an extremely powerful athlete. If you remember the open workout that he won worldwide, 20.4, it featured those heavy clean and jerks towards the end. One of the most impressive open performances I've ever actually seen. Even with the 315 barbell, he was catching them power right overhead. Really explosive. You can see the hip drive in that type of movement, and we're seeing it kind of replicated here with the heavy sandbag and him making quick work of it. Also recently PR'd his clean and jerk in Dubai. 2nd only to Tola Moraquinho.
It's pretty good company.
Yep, no doubt.
So Adler continues to lead. Chandler Smith is also through 32 of those 60 total scored repetitions. 45, that's the number they got to hit before they get back to the lunge. Jeffrey Adler, 5th in the Worldwide Open. He's had a hell of a season so far.
You know, this is a really good opportunity for him to establish himself as an individual athlete. He already has a year under his belt at the games. He finished 33rd. He had his best finish ever in the Open. He won an open workout worldwide in, like I said, one of the most impressive individual open workout performances I've seen. And then he's already been to Dubai once where he finished top 10 against a loaded men's field. So right now, this is one of those moments where he's just trying to establish himself to be able to front run in an event and be one of those guys that's confident enough to be able to know that I'm the man in this situation and I'm going to go out there and prove it.
About 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go before we hit the 8-minute time cap. Adler continues to lead. Chandler Smith is in second, and it's Alexander Caron on the right side of your screen. He and Scott Tetlow fighting for third. Tyler Christoffel, he is in that fight as well as he moves up for his final set of 10. He's on the left. Four reps remain for Adler, and then one final 150-foot walking lunge. And Chandler Smith right on that pace as well, as he and Adler are basically going rep for rep, and now Chandler Smith about half a rep ahead of Adler.
Dylan Martin was done with his sandbags at this point in time, and right around the 5:25 mark is when Kyle Bernier was done as well.
One left for Adler and Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith closest to the camera, and he is finished. And the two of them will get back to the 75-pound dumbbells in that final 150-foot walking lunge. Scott Tetlow is also done. The three of them all kind of looking at each other, seeing who's going to go first, and it's going to be Tetlow who gets those dumbbells up on his shoulder. Chandler Smith, he's ready to go. Tetlow out first. Here comes Smith, and it's going to be Adler in third.
Interesting enough to see them kind of all rest that long, and I think that's the difference between athletes who are competing for a game spot and athletes that have something outside of just the traditional games invite that they're competing for. I mean, if these were one of the guys in the hunt for a game spot, they would have already been lunging by now. But they all kind of took a second to kind of calculate where they're at, look at the rest of the competition before setting out on that lunge.
Chandler Smith has a chance to overtake Josh Miller for the lead in the overall leaderboard. Just 2 points back coming into this event. And remember, Miller did not finish. He was 5 reps shy. So if Chandler can just beat that score, there's a very good chance he winds up on top of the overall leaderboard.
And that would be a huge boost, like I said, for an athlete that's looking to build on a top 20 finish at the CrossFit Games. You know, last year he got his Games invite through the Rogue Invitational. This year he gets it through the Open. So he's already shown some progression as far as earning that qualification spot earlier and having more time to kind of refine his competition mode as far as sanctionals are concerned.
Chandler Smith is going to be flirting with the time cap here. 40 seconds to go. Final 50 feet for him. And if he can at least get himself to the other end of the floor, he's pretty much guaranteed to overtake Josh Miller, and it looks like that's going to happen. So Chandler Smith may be your new leader after 5 events. Smith is going to have a chance to get in here. Lunging straight through. Now he's got to get to the finish line. Plenty of time to do it. So Chandler Smith will finish event 5 and may overtake Josh Miller on top of the overall leaderboard. The only man to finish this event inside 8 minutes in this final heat.
Always the showman. Doesn't slam the buzzer, just stops and gives it a little poke.
A great result for Chandler Smith, who really turned on the gas on the back part of that walking lunge.
Yeah, he managed to hang with Adler, who was the leader at the time, through the majority of the sandbag cleans. But then, like I said, during the final lunges when he separated himself, Adler set the dumbbells down. You saw Tetlow start to fade on the lunges as well. And Chandler Smith was the only guy that was able to get underneath the time cap, and another strong finish for him.
And as a result, he gets to talk to Rory McKernan once again.
All right, by special request, I'm bringing the interview down to Chandler, buddy. How that one hit you kind of hard, huh?
Right in the stomach, yeah. TKO.
It looked like on that last set of dumbbell lunges, you were looking down the line. Were you hoping somebody else would pick them up first, or are you just making sure they weren't getting ahead of you?
I was kind of making sure I wouldn't get ahead of me. There was some other guys in the heats. Everyone's really fit here, so I know that was like a heat-winning performance, but not an event-winning performance. But I pushed it, and I think I just like paced off those guys. They're all super fit. I thought we were closer, but everyone's fit here, so it's a hard game to play.
Let's come up. We're coming up. So looking back, you've got 2 days under your belt, 1 to go. How are you feeling about your performance?
Feeling good, but not satisfied. I think you have to like find an attitude where you're happy with what's happened. I think I'm in a good spot right now, but also know that there's a lot of weekend left and a lot of stuff can happen. So I'll continue to be as active with the recovery and mindset stuff as I have been, and that'll at least lead me to the result that I'm most capable of. Maybe it won't be the result I want, but the one I'm most capable of.
Fantastic. We look forward to seeing you on the final day. Ladies and gentlemen, Chandler Smith.
Chandler Smith with a time of 7:56.21 seconds. He has yet to finish lower than 7th in an event, and that is likely to be a top 5 result for him and possibly vault him into the overall lead in the point standings.
He was only a couple points behind Josh Miller. He's definitely going to pass him in that one, given how Miller finished. The big question now is how he shakes out with Luke Schaefer, who also had a strong performance in that workout. At the very least, it's going to be a tight point race between those two for the overall lead.
The men are done. The women are coming up next for event number 5. And when you look at what you saw for the men, what stood out to you the most today?
Man, I really like how Chandler Smith has competed all weekend long. You know, he hasn't necessarily been at the forefront of any one workout, but he's been incredibly consistent. What we see in the long term at the games for some of these athletes is even if you don't win events, consistently racking up top 10s, top 5s is what's going to put you towards the top end of the leaderboard. And for an athlete like Chandler Smith, that's what he's done. He's not kept everything inside the top 10, most of them inside the top 5, and I think he's going to be rewarded with the top overall spot when everything shakes out.
The 2020 Mayhem Classic is brought to you by Theragun. Change the way you move. By Throwdowns. Connect, train, compete. And by Advocare. We build champions. Advocare had a sweepstakes for this event. We met the winners of that earlier. We're going to talk to them again. They are standing by with Rory McKernan.
Thank you, Sean. I am here with some of my new best friends, actually. We got to spend some time on Friday going to the trail run, Cody and Sydney, and you guys have a pretty cool story about how you got here. Uh-oh, I got another third friend, but he's an old friend. Tell me a little bit about like getting to meet this guy and what your week was all about this week.
Oh man, it's been wonderful. It's been a great experience here at the Mayhem Classic. We got to come here from that giveaway, like you said, and it's just been nice to see like the community here that you've built, Rich, and it's just been a neat experience all around. We really enjoyed it.
How about highlights? And what's the highest high so far?
Maybe a tie between visiting the barn with these guys yesterday, but also being judged by him and Dan Bailey. Thankfully, I didn't lose in front of him, but yeah.
A little family feud. Okay, well, we do have another sweepstakes that's right around the corner. I'm going to let you tell the people about it.
Yeah, if you want to come train with me, Advocare can make that happen. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, so we've got links to social where you guys are going to enter all sorts of rules and details. You're going to go follow at the Mayhem Classic. Rich's Instagram will post the rules, the regulations and such, and you could come to train with Rich, get to do what these guys did, plus train with Rich a couple more times. And
we'll have some fun. You know, all the workouts you saw out here, we might test maybe next year's. We'll see.
Ooh, that sounds brutal. So you guys check it out on Instagram at Rich's page, and we'll hopefully see you in Cookeville pretty soon. Thanks, guys.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Want that slide in there?
I was like...